Hey, welcome to another Myo video. If you're unfamiliar with Myo, we are the only one-on-one high-intensity private strength training you can perform even in business clothes in 20 minutes, twice a week with minimal risk of injury. With thoughtful precision and individual care, we want to come alongside each and every one of our members to build them up so that they might build others up and those around them. So we have studios up here in the Minneapolis area and surrounding area, and we also have an online platform for virtual workouts at Pivot and called Myo Pivot, and you can check out more at myostrong.com. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And we'd love feedback. We'd love conversation around specifically Myo and what we're doing here and the protocol and our approach to exercise. So if you have questions or thoughts around even this topic, we'd love to hear from you too. So today we're going to spend a little time. We have a couple of our instructors who are running a couple different studios for us. And we're going to spend a little time talking about metrics and tracking workouts and why that is imperative for us, but why that should also be imperative for you as you walk through your workouts to see progress and to see a variety of things. So one of the things that we focus on here is not primarily metrics, though, although we track them extremely closely through every workout. But Pulcher's sort of taken metrics and said metrics is everything, and producing another repetition or increasing weight or increasing whatever it ends up being means that I'm stronger, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's true. And so we actually focus on metrics, but we want to say, all right, how can we challenge the body and not look at the quantity of exercise, but rather the quality and what's taking place within someone's body as they're engaging in strength training, and then specifically what's happening in their body as they rest, recover, and their body has a chance to respond, adapt, and grow, and then we stimulate their body with strength training once again. So we love that topic of metrics and settings, and that's actually what we're going to spend time looking at today, why we want to track workouts so closely. So today we have Becky with us and Mike with us. Welcome, Becky and Mike. It's fun to have you guys on, and we just look forward to hearing from you and how you view metrics and workout tracking and why that's imperative. So Mike, why don't you take it away? We just want to show you first a little bit of one of our charts, and Mike will just kind of walk you through some of the things that we look at. And then we'll just kind of talk about some of those specific metrics and settings and why they're important, why we track them, okay? So pull up that screen really quick, and Mike, you can go ahead and take it away.
All right, so Dan's pulling up, there you go. You got a screenshot of one of our clients training here. So you see under where it says day one, that's going to be the abbreviations of all of our machines that we use in that specific workout. The next column is a sequence, and that's actually pretty important because we want to make sure that we're not putting two push movements right in a row and two pull movements right in a row. So we try to alternate back and forth there. The next column is settings. So we adjust seats, whether the machine has certain handles, or we also can add whether they want a pad on the handles or they need a little bit more seat height. So we have a bunch of different settings that we look at there. And then the next column is going to be weight. So we're obviously changing the weights just about every workout for a while. And then we're obviously going to be increasing there. And the next column is our time under load. So we keep track of, with a stopwatch, as soon as you start each exercise and then the moment that your muscles are not under tension anymore. And we have our reps. So we do keep track of metrics for different reasons that we'll kind of go into later, but we're just keeping track of all the number of reps that we do in each exercise. And some exercises are static, so we don't have to keep track of reps, obviously, because they're static. And then the last column is just for training notes. So whether we want to add weight, we'll put in there next, and then let's just say the one on the bottom, it shows 110. So we're going to add, and looks like the weight that he had on before was 107.5. So we'll just add 2.5 pounds there, and then move on to the next one. But everything in our notes, we want to make sure we look at those every time we train a client or a member here. to make sure that we're not missing anything, make sure we catch every little detail about that specific exercise for them. And then we have a few other things like goals, any special needs, or techniques that they want us to pay close attention to. And that's a basic overview of kind of what we look at in the charts every time we're looking at the iPad while we train you through.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So at this point, we're just going to kind of discuss a few of those specific columns and why they're important, why we feel like they're important to track. And so Becky, love to just kind of hear some of your thoughts, maybe just pick one of those columns and just kind of be conversational for you and Mike, and I'll kind of incorporate a few things too if the opportunity arises. So feel free to pick one of those and just kind of share, this is why we track one of these specific columns.
Mm-hmm. All right, so one of the first columns that Mike described was the one that describes the type of machines that the client is going to be using. And so that's really important. Our big five in this protocol is the leg press, and then the pull down, a chest press type exercise, another pulling exercise, another pushing exercise. So pull, push, and a leg press. Those are the five exercises that we do, and that provides a full body workout. And it's that basic workout, and then we go ahead and build upon that or alter that depending on what the client is looking for. What we strive to do is make this a very customized experience for our members. We have a consultation, initial consultation before somebody starts Myo, and want to find out what their goals are. We want to find out if there's any areas of their body that are bothering them or causing any type of restriction or any concern. And then we build our program around the client. The other thing we'll do too is throughout the year, we'll check in with the client and say, you know, how are the workouts going? Is there an area of your body that you'd like to target? And we will go ahead and adjust the machines that they'll be using based on what they want to do. So very customized, we try to be very in tune with what our members are needing. And so that's one piece of this. And then we can also alter the sequence of those exercises. We'll switch that up. And it's interesting to see how, even if you're doing the same 5 machines for a while, just the sequence of that can make it feel like a completely different workout.
Thanks, Becky. That's awesome. Mike, do you have any thoughts on kind of sequence or exercises specifically, maybe down here in the Minnetonka studio area?
Yeah, like in the Minnetonka studio here, we have about 12 machines, and then some of those machines we're able to do 2 or 3 different exercises on them. So we have a lot of different options for you. And like Becky said, we want to customize this workout for you. Whether you're having pain in certain parts of your area, we want to be careful with that and accommodate you depending on what's going on there. But yeah, we just want to accommodate everyone that comes through this door, whether they've had injuries or they prefer certain exercises over others, or if they want to work on a specific part of their body. These exercises in here and Dassel and the Northwood location, they're all very specialized. With the leg press, hits a certain part of your body, chest press obviously hits a certain part of your body. So yeah, if someone wants to work on, let's say, your shoulders, we want to focus on the overhead press and maybe a couple different static internal or external rotation exercises for you. But yeah, I think Becky nailed it on the head too. So
that's great. So why is it important for us to track settings? I mean, that's kind of something that we sometimes adjust for individuals, but why is it important for us to keep it consistent rather than sort of trying to redo their settings every time and guess where they should be at?
I'll go ahead, I can speak to that. And then Mike, jump in at any point here. The machines that we use at Myo are very high-end pieces of equipment. They're made with the thought of how our muscles and our joints function best. And so the settings are very important. I don't know if you've ever been to like a hotel fitness center, And the equipment there is pretty basic. And sometimes you'll find that if you're a very tall individual or a very petite individual, sometimes those machines don't fit you. And so you can't get a good workout, or if you do get a workout in, it doesn't feel effective, or your risk of injury is higher. Now with the Myo equipment, because it's very high end, very customized built equipment, when we set up a client on each piece of equipment, we watch very carefully of the settings. So for instance, what Mike was mentioning, the seat setting, range of motion, settings for handles, arm length, different things that we do. And it's very important that we set those up to make sure that the workout is safe and effective for the client. The other thing we want to do too is we want to make sure that the experience for each client who's coming in is consistent. So even though we kind of each have our own studios that we work in, we do switch around sometimes. So sometimes I'll be training a client that Mike has been consistently training, and I want to make sure that that client is getting a good experience, even though Mike isn't there, that the notes that he has left for me or for Dan allows for just the right setting, and it makes it efficient, and again, safe and very effective for that client.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky. Mike, I'll let you answer this one. What about the weight? Why do we feel like it's important to keep tracking the weight throughout exercises, throughout the weeks or months?
Yeah. So a lot of people that come here love tracking the weight. They like actually me telling them, okay, how heavy am I pushing here in the leg press? And it's really important to keep track of, for one, their safety. If I'm starting someone at 150 pounds on the leg press, and then the next week I have it at like 190, that's not very safe. We want to make sure that they stay safe and stay consistent too. So as we progress you, we're going to obviously add some weight, and it kind of coincides with the time column that I talked about and how much time you're under load. If our goal is to hit somewhere between 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes, somewhere in that minute range, to hit momentary muscle failure. So if your weight's at 150 and you're going over 3 minutes, like that's telling me that, okay, we got to add some weight for you next time, because you're getting stronger. You're increasing the load, and you're increasing the time under load as well. So as the time progresses, that's why we keep track of the time and the weight, so that we can keep track of those things. And if the time increases, we're obviously going to increase the weight as well, because you are getting stronger. You are building that muscle up in your body. Yeah.
Can I interject? I like that, Mike, because I think some of those columns that we have, the weight, the time, and the reps, they all kind of fluctuate. As the weight increases, we should expect time to decrease and likely repetitions.
Right.
One of the things that you're talking about seems to be that as we track those things well, we can help know at least relatively close to a point when someone's going to reach momentary muscle failure. And I think it helps us to be able to instruct well and coach them well through that moment, maybe increasing their breathing or beginning to, just believe they can push through this last one, even though they don't want to. And so those three sort of, you already tied two of them together, but those three sort of work together. And again, we just want to affirm that these columns and these things that we track are all not the destination. Like, we're not trying to do it for a certain amount of time or a certain number of repetitions or a certain amount of weight. They're all vehicles to that point of muscle failure, which then we stimulate and receive the greatest benefit. So I appreciate that. Becky, do you have any thoughts on reps as well as time, and kind of intersecting some other of those three categories?
Yes, like you mentioned earlier, Dan, our culture is really built on metrics. We want to know metrics. And, it's easy to measure metrics because we just like, okay, I want to do one better or two better than something like that. But the concept of momentary muscle failure is tricky, because we can't always measure. It's not always predictable. So say, for instance, that a client had been doing 5 repetitions, and it took them about 2 minutes to get through 5 repetitions before they got to momentary muscle failure consistently. So let's say that the next time they came in, I was training them, and I thought, well, I'm just going to look for that same number of reps for that same length of time. And so I kept pushing them and encouraging them to keep going. But that night they had not slept well, or maybe they were just starting to get a cold or something, and so their body wasn't as strong. if I was focusing strictly on metrics, or if they were focusing strictly on metrics, there'd be a tendency for them to try to finish like that 5th rep or something, but do it in a way that's not in good form, and they could get injured. So instead of saying, okay, we're going to momentary muscle failure, fatigue, instead of looking at the metrics, then that's a much safer and even actually a more effective exercise way of approaching the exercise.
Love it, Becky. That's so good. Mike, do you have any kind of last thoughts here around significance and the need to track workouts well?
I mean, it's just so important for what we specifically do here and pushing you to momentary muscle failure. If we don't have those metrics to track, we have no idea how to help you to get to that point. But if we can track your weight, your time, and then the reps, all of those things together, we can help you the best way that we can to push you to momentary muscle failure.
Yeah. That's great, Mike. Yep. And all of these things, when we track well, that also helps us, like Becky mentioned, to be really effective and really safe. And it also helps us to be really efficient in our workouts so that you can experience coming into the moment your appointment is ready, to be ready for your workout and to finish within that 20-minute period to get onto the next activity that you have, next rhythm. Maybe you're back-to-back appointments or something of that nature. And so it's our pleasure to help challenge your body and help stimulate your body so that you can experience the greatest benefit possible. And tracking workouts well helps us to do that. So we hope that you've been encouraged in how we approach metrics and why they're important. There's probably a whole bunch more that we could collectively go through and discuss. And but we just want to give you kind of an overview of our workouts, our charting, and why we do what we do here. So yeah, check out more at milestrong.com. Check out more videos. Feel free to ask questions, whatever else. Feel free to come in for a workout and experience Mile for yourself. We'd love that. Thanks, Becky and Mike. Be strong, everyone.